Ni hao, wish is Stephanie. I feel the need to dance at the beginning of every video. Hey, I'm being too lazy with the tripod and you're kind of lower than you need to be today, but this is going to be a quick video anyway. So I wanted to check in because it has been some time. I know I mentioned, I did a video last week about my plans for an HSK dump, but I haven't actually followed up on a few different things. I'm playing with my note cards right now. I have such a love-hate relationship with note cards, it's ridiculous. I hate them, I love them. I hate them, I love them. Yeah, and in Asia it's especially tricky for me because I prefer the North American note cards. I don't have anything here, but they're a specific size that I grew up with and I'm comfortable with and I can put a lot of information on. And they go smaller. In Northeast Asia, the note cards are much, much smaller. These aren't as small as the baby ones that I had in my pocket last round of physical note cards, but they are still smaller. And I'm going to show you them in a second. Here, I can get most of them off now. And they have different kinds, but I like the kind that adheres to each other. That makes no sense. I like the kind that's on the ring. If I'm going to have smaller, I want them to be stuck to each other. So what I've done, as I mentioned, I realized as I was trying to read that part of the problem in the spacing issue is that I don't have enough vocabulary. I have not, as I've learned recently, the phrase "eat the bitterness," I have not been good at pushing through the hard part of language learning at all. I've been really, really bad at wanting to just remember things, and that doesn't work. But with the wrist and the shoulder, whatever, there's medical issues involved in using a lot of the technology that I like to use with language learning, so I needed to come up with a different way. So I've decided to do at least an HSK1, HSK2 language dump. Now for newspapers, I've heard that HSK2 and HSK3 are rather good at having the right vocabulary. However, I don't want to start midway, so I'm going to push through HSK1. I have a vacation. Well, I have time off of work this week. It's Friday, so there's not much of it left. But I've been busy, as you can see from the stack of note cards. So I've got the weekend, and I have part of next week. And now that I'm in a rhythm, I can keep going with this until I need to. This does inevitably mean that I will be forcing myself to take the HSK tests, and my ex-language teacher side is a bit screaming at that idea. But you know what? If I'm going to study the words, I might as well get the qualifications. Is that even what an HSK test result is called? So yeah, let's just say that. Okay, so I found a list of the 150 words used in HSK1. I haven't researched the format of the test or anything like that yet because I have 150 words to learn, and I figure at some point I will have time and I will research what the rest of the test is. I think there's some functional sentences and things in there too, but a huge part of it is going to be the vocabulary. So as I'm learning the vocabulary, I'll look more into what the test is and register for the test. As far as I can see, there's a test in mid-February for HSK1. And I have till, I think, mid-January to sign up for it. So I'm toying with that. So what I'm doing with the note cards is I'm doing them very similar to the Fluent Forever approach, minus the sound, because these don't come with sound. I wish they did. So I've got my version of the Hansa character on the front, and I've made little note cards what they are because I envision I'll probably be using this method through HSK 1 and 2, probably 3 and 4 if I get that far. And then I'm also, because I'm looking in Pleco, the app that I showed you previously, I'm looking in there to get the stroke order and to get the components that I'm putting on the back of the card. This is the front of the card, this is the back of the card. I do like deconstructing the characters or the words, so I do put the components on the back. And I am looking in Pleco there, so I figured what the heck, I'll make a deck in Pleco, and when my wrists heal, I can use that to study as well. Because they have different tests that I've showed you before where you can practice the meaning or you can practice the writing or that kind of thing. So I figured I might as well make a deck while I'm doing it. So this is a reminder that I've put this one in the Pleco deck. So I've got a digital deck in Pleco and I've got a physical deck here. Now I'm trying to put a picture, but as you can see, my drawing ability sucks. So this is supposed to be, this is zai, which is to be at a place. And it's actually used a lot. After I learned it about a week ago in another context, I started hearing it in places. So that's my picture for at a place. It needs refining. I give you that. I give you that. And some of them I haven't actually filled out completely yet because I can't think of a picture for it yet. So I will figure that out. If I can't think of a picture, I might put Spanish and bridge over that way if I know the Spanish word. Because I think that's effective as well. Because if I know the Spanish word, then there's a visual attached to that anyway. So there you go. Like for some things, it's just really hard to do that. So here's another common one. This is shou. I'm sure my opinion is off. But I'm pretty proud of my strokes. Like, I haven't actually practiced. And again, decomposing, there's only one component, my picture, the opinion, and the English down here. I haven't actually practiced writing for ages, but the pleco stroke order part is really nice. It really, I think for each one, as long as they're not too long, I spend about 5 or 6, because it does a video on the stroke order, and it shows you one, and the next, and the next. And I do it about 5 or 6 times to get one word down. So these are all words. So here's the important part that I'm excited about. Although I'm not excited about vocabulary dumps or words in isolation, I am excited, I have to tell you about that too, but I'm excited about actual words, because if I know the words, I can recognize the words, and that will help me understand word boundaries and get over my space issues, because again, in Chinese they don't use spaces between words like we do in English. So the other thing, the one big thing that's missing from here that I want to put is in a sentence. I have a few different areas that I can pull the sentences from. I haven't done it on any of them. Like you can see here, the sentence is missing. I have the picture and the opinion, the components, the English, but I left room for a sentence. There's a couple of videos that I watch where they slip into Chinese in dialogue form, and they do subscripts or transcripts. And so I've been curious to pull them over, some of those sentences over. Then I realized that ages ago, in my Anki deck, I pulled over some other people's HSK decks, and they have sentences already in there. So I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to pull sentences in, but I do want to see full sentences. It's a bit trickier to write a full sentence for me right now, but I don't know. Maybe I can do it. I could put them on a paper, print them up, cut them, and sorry, I have the hiccups right now. This is really embarrassing. And then I could paste them on here. I do not see that working very well in the long term. I think that's too many steps, so I think I have to just push through and write them and not put spaces between the words, because it has to be as close to authentic as possible. So I think you get an idea. This one has qian. I'm not doing my tone right, but you can see my sloppy Hansa there. There's HSK1 to remind me what it is. Pleco because I put it in that deck. And then, of course, I still think in US dollars because that's where most of my bills are. And then the pinyin, the English, and the components. So I've done this for, I think this whole deck is like 50 or 80 cards or something. And I was trying to do 10 to 20 a day. And I was pretty successful for a few days in a row, but I forgot exactly when I started. Oops. So I'm on track and I'm doing them. I sit down and do them, whether it's at home on a pillow, because we don't have the best desk situation yet, or in a coffee shop or whatever. It's really easy to do them, especially with just the limited amount of information that you can see on these. It's really, really not hard to make these. Last night, what I did, was it last night? Yeah, last night and the night before, what I did is I'd start out my session by reviewing the previous ones and spending a lot of time on that, and then going into the new ones. I don't know if that's the best way to go. I have a feeling I might want to reverse that and do the new ones and review in the middle of doing the new ones to break up the monotony of the newness, because it feels good to know stuff. And if I'm writing the new ones and I get overwhelmed by the newness of it and kind of a bit of language saturation, then I bring in the cards. When I see the ones I know, I think that'll kind of break the monotony of it, and then I'll go back to doing them. So I think I might space it out that way, instead of doing the review in the beginning and getting not just the what's it called? The ego boost of learning, of remembering some of them, but then getting the frustration of not remembering some of them and going into making new cards with the frustration. Yeah, I think that's not good. So I think I'm going to make some new cards, maybe make 5, then review the old ones, and then come back. I can use the Pleco, although I was talking about my wrist still being messed up, I can use my finger. Like if I have my phone just situated, like leaning on like even just a tissue, like a little packet of tissues or something, if I have it leaning there, I can use my tissue, I can use just my finger and maneuver through the test. Pleco does different options, and if I do the time-space repetition, it's generally at this point with the small amount that I have, about 5 or 7 cards a day. So it's not that hard to use it to review digitally too. So I've been playing with doing manual reviews and doing digital reviews, and we'll see how it goes. But I have to just accept the fact that I need some words. I need words because I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think there's going to be an easy way for me to see where words are in a sentence when they're all squished together in a Chinese sentence if I don't know words. So I need to do the, I want to show you a sentence in Chinese. I know I've showed you before, but I really want to show you again. But I have a feeling it's going to, because of the language settings on my computer, I have a feeling it's going to go straight to the English version, which won't help. I'm trying to think. You think I would have... Okay, let's go back to the old reading book. Yeah, it went to the English language version. Meh. So if you look at... Let me find one that doesn't have stuff. So if you look at this sentence here, you'll notice it does have commas, but it generally doesn't have spaces between the words. And actually, that's a generous amount of space even after the commas. That's not normally what I see when I look at Chinese text. There isn't that big exaggerated space. So if you look at this, this is not one long word. These are different words. What I did when I was reading sentences in this book earlier on, I think I showed you, is I underlined the different words so I'd know that that's a word. Because words can be either 1 character, 2 characters, or 3 characters. It looks like 2 is the most common combination, but it's not always the case. Like you can see, there's 1 here, there's 2 there, and there's a lot of 2s. And there's a 3 or 4 here. I don't know, my underlining is weird there. But anyway, so you can see that. So it's been really, really hard for me to look at Chinese text and try to extract words that I know, because it can look like I know the word, but then it won't necessarily be that word because it's next to something else that makes it a completely different word. That character is next to something else that makes it a completely different word. What? So, yeah, there's that. So I'm working through. I'm doing a huge vocabulary dump with HSK1. I wish I had signed up for the test sooner because I feel like I could push through these 150 words and take the test in January. But to be fair, January starts in like 3 days. So end of January. February is not that far away. I just really like, what's it called? Recognition for hard work. And I have to get over that because this is going to be a long haul. I knew that at the beginning, and I really, really know that now. Like, ups and downs and excitement of the characters being interesting and fun and stuff is there. It's still there. It still happens. There's still things that I look at and go, oh my gosh, that I wish more languages were that simple and that clear-cut. But not always. And it's not going to be a constant thing. Like some of the, should I share with you some of the images that I've made up to remember characters? I'll share with you 1 or 2. Like that one is to be, no, that's, there was one for shop to buy, which I did some really goofy visuals in my head on, and of course now I can't find it. Meh. Oh, so sad. Okay, so for Tian, this is not the most exciting one. But this guy I envisioned as being a person running towards money. I envisioned this as being a backwards $sign. And I envisioned him running towards money. So that would be money. That's qian, which is money or currency. Oh, this one was good. This is zuo, Z-U-O. My picture on the back of it is awful, right? That's a person sitting down. Good thing I'm not a graphic artist, right? So I envision, like these are people, right? Ren. So I envision them sitting down on this area, or if they wanted to get really comfy and sit on the ground, they could sit on this area. So I envision them literally moving. It's the act of sitting down, to remember what that means. And there's a bunch of those. I know different people have different strategies, but I do find that motion in the characters works well for me if I remember them, which right now I'm not remembering much at all. And I just studied this about 12 hours ago before I went to sleep last night. Oh no! It's tragic. Oh, I want to find a really, really good one. Oh. This one I have a massive problem with because I envision it being like boo, which is that like no or not or don't. And it's not. It's either an X or a K. It's a Z, 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 sha, which is below or under. It's the opposite of shang. Like Shanghai is on the water, shang. This is the opposite. This is on top, above. No, this is under or below. This is under or below. And literally, the top part goes under. Well, actually, no. Shanghai. This also goes out straight. It's not curved. So there isn't a really good way to show you that. Anyway, so I'm trying to include visuals as much as possible because if visuals replace the translation, then I'll remember them more, right? Right? I'm having a really hard time with the visual for who. Let me show you. This is I do not know how to say this. There's the pinyin, and there's the Hansa character. I have a really hard time coming up with a visual to have that be who. The only thing I can think of is if I have the person go behind here, and then they're kind of behind a graded thingy, and then it's like, well, who is that? That's the only thing I can think of. And that's not a very strong visual, and it's not a moving visual because you wouldn't see them and then not see them and then ask who they are because you first saw them. So there's that. So I'm trying all kinds of different things to get the vocabulary dump in so I can get to the more interesting part. So I need to add the sentences to all of those and keep going with at least 5 to 10 a day and eventually take the HSK test, HSK1 test. After months and months and months of doing this video, I've finally realized that I need a vocabulary dump, not just a recognition of characters, but a recognition of words. I need words. I need lots and lots of words. And there's only 150 words in HSK1, but as you go up the HSK level to 2 and 3, there's a substantial amount more, but there's also repetition. Some of these are included in 2 and 3. So, from what I understand. Still learning about it. I was not terribly interested in going through the tests, but I am pretty sure that they are graded for frequency of usage, and frequency is what I need. I need to get to reading to newspapers because that is my goal. And I'm just going to have to eat the bitterness, which apparently is a phrase in Chinese that I do not know. But, and also an action that I've somehow later in life forgotten how to fight through the boredom of learning and to get through to the interesting part. So here I go, trying desperately to break through linguistically and mentally on a task that is not too exciting to get to the task that is life-altering. I'm not kidding, it is life-altering. When I am able to read in Chinese, it will alter my life in ways that I can't even explain. Seeing the world through a different language, through different perspectives, is just mind-blowing to me, and I cannot wait to get there. Alright, so that's it. That's my update. That's what I'm going to be doing for the next week or so. I still have a few more videos like specific things that I found that I want to share with you, but that's going to have to come at a later date because I have to get to a lunch. That's Yen.